Hey, hi, welcome to, I don't know, like the few people watching this channel. I just want to say thanks for you guys taking a few minutes out of your day to watch me be a nervous wreck on this microphone and for me to be like a novice trying to fulfill my YouTube Sims dreams and build, I don't know, average builds. Hi, my name's Alexandra, and without further ado, let's get into the build. So this is my first time actually building anything that I like in Sulani. Sulani is one of those worlds that has a very beautiful aesthetic to it, but it's not really my aesthetic. I love the Victorian builds. I love hidden walls, hidden hallways, floor to ceiling libraries, and this was something that I really wanted to do to get out of my comfort zone. I think Sulani is a beautiful world, and it's a shame that I haven't played any more in it. So to start off, to kind of like test the water, so to speak, I decided to pick a build that I was inspired by that had a relatively simple shell so that I could like hopefully not botch it that bad. So I'm right now I was during the build of this home, this residential lot, I was going back and forth between sloped roofs that sort of come down at an angle, and then roof. It wasn't really so much a roof, but I had used half walls and made that into a roof. And the reason why I needed to do that was because when I was trying to put in a sunroof, or like a roof that allowed light in, it was giving me a hard time doing it with the conventional roof tools. So what you end up seeing at the end of the build is that I find a happy medium, at least for myself, where over the living room, which is that big room with those floor to ceiling windows, I do end up with the half wall roof, as I like to call it, and then over that main rectangular part you see a sloped roof. So now I was just kind of like figuring out where I wanted the bedroom, and I wanted the bedroom to be something that looked out onto the water, and then in my mind, like, you had this idea where the doors should stay open and then you get woken up by the warmth of, I don't know, a new day, and then also have like a nice breeze come in. So that's really what my motivation was for that bedroom. Now I was trying to find something that I liked to kind of color the outside, and what I ended up doing was taking inspiration from this build that sort of had half and half. The top half was concrete and the bottom half had this paneling. Now The Sims doesn't have any paneling that looked similar to the build that I took inspiration from, so I took this simple, I can't remember what pack it's from, but I took some paneling, and the one that had the thinnest slats and had the dark, like the second to darkest swatch, I chose. I was kind of going back and forth between having black windows or white windows, but then I realized that having black windows against a brown paneled building it just seemed like too dark to me. So I decided to stick with the white. Anyway, going to the front of the building, I am kind of playing around with how much light I really want in the building, or how much light is brought in, because I was thinking and getting like into my own head, thinking like, I don't know, what about privacy? What about there being too many windows? Does it clash? I don't know. I had all of these things, but then I realized we're in The Sims. No one's really going to be weird and look into your building. And so I just decided to stick with the extra windows. So here what you see is that I didn't decide to stick with those fences around. I actually wanted Sulani to have I wanted this build to have a touch of Sulani, and I added those fences from Sulani. They have like this bright blue, like aquamarine swatch, and it contrasts with black, and I thought it was perfect for this build since everything is kind of like black, brown, white, and bright blue to go with the water. The floor swatch that you see me using now isn't one that I stay with the entire time. I think I picked one that actually wasn't so yellow. I picked one that was still light but wasn't so yellow. And then to mitigate the issue with, potential creeps, I guess, I added these big, beautiful curtains from I believe it's Seasons, and they don't really occlude enough of the sunlight from they don't occlude enough of the window, so you do see enough sunlight, but they're open enough that they're closed enough that you have curtains, and they're open enough that you have sunlight. Anyway, whew, that was a doozy. Anyway, so here I have this wall that I end up getting rid of because ultimately it just looked weird. I couldn't really justify it in my head. I wanted to have that as like a basis to hold open, what's it called, a television, but then I decided against it. What I ended up going with instead was something from Tiny Living, and it had all of the things in it. It had a TV, it had a radio, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it also had a bookcase. Now, sticking with the theme of light, bright, summery, beautiful, I stuck with the yellow swatches of this sofa, and I made it into like a sort of sectional that's being adjoined by this side table. And it's actually from Jungle Adventure, and it's a beautiful one that comes with its, I think, matching coffee table. And I think I actually picked the matching swatch. Yes, and this is the thing that holds the TV from Tiny Living that I recently added. I thought it added enough division into, I guess the vertical height of it added enough division in the room, but it wasn't a monstrosity like that wall was. Now, I don't believe I stick with this canary yellow wallpaper. I believe I do pick like a white one or something else, but here you just see me testing out different ones. I picked this Tiny Living rug that I sized up, and now what I'm doing is, actually, if you move, so basically anything that you put on top of a table or a surface in The Sims kind of just snaps to a particular place. But if you move the surface away, then you'll find that you have a much easier time to orientate the figures or whatever objects on top into a prettier, sort of ensemble, I guess. So I added some candles on the side table. I don't think that's a fire hazard. No, I don't. I don't know, it just kind of like paranoid, makes me all paranoid that it's so close to like fabric. But anyway, so another thing that I decided to do here was use Tiny Living lamps, and I used 2 different swatches to add more light into this home. So I added 2 extra windows on the side here because I thought that just having those front 3 in the kitchen didn't really do that much justice. Now I am here working on the bathroom, which I'm super excited. I love the bathroom. At first I didn't have like enough objects to justify the size of the bathroom, but the size of the bathroom had to be as big as it was in order to not make sort of, the foyer and the kitchen seem abnormally large. So what I ended up doing, which I found was a good trick for me, is if you put like a large painting in the bathroom on one of the biggest walls and you put some stuff on the walls, it kind of gives this illusion that there's less space than there really is, and it justifies the size of the room that you have. So I decided to put not only just a tub with, I believe, a rug from Seasons as well, if I'm not mistaken, or maybe that's Base Game, I don't know. But I picked the swatch to match the bathtub, and then I also put a separate shower. Yeah, so now this is when I realized that, this bathroom is way too large. So I decided to put a towel rack, and I also put a hamper, but unfortunately I forgot to put a clothesline. So I'm sorry, guys. I think I will add a clothesline before I upload this to the gallery if you guys want to play. But I also added another towel rack right besides the bathtub because it had a bunch of other pieces on it that didn't make it just seem like I had 2 towel racks. And this right here is like the large painting that I used, but I had to size it down because it being that large also didn't make any sense. Yeah, and there I think I was relatively happy. And for those people that worried about the privacy of The Sims, I added 2 curtains. Now I'm in the kitchen, and this kitchen was sort of giving me a little bit of trouble. I was trying to figure out what I wanted to do in terms of dividing up the space, But I just figured, well, who doesn't like eating by sunlight and watching the sunset, the sunrise, whatever. So I decided to put the table right by the window. And one thing that I decided that really looked good was actually breaking up the different types of curtains that run along this home. So in my mind, I kind of imagined the sim who owns this beach house was also a person who had a green thumb. And so I put this big wall of succulents, which, if I'm not wrong, I believe is from Get Together. And I put more succulents underneath the staircase. So now going back to the kitchen, I put these pendant lights over the dining table. And one thing I really didn't know how to get done well was the counters and cabinets, because I was thinking maybe I wanted to put some curtains over those windows, but then I realized for privacy's sake, no one really cares. You're facing towards the water. And then also for lighting's sake, it doesn't really matter because I don't know, it's not that deep. Anyway, so here I am just trying to figure out the placement of the counters and the cabinets. And there was this big gap in between the corner cabinet and the cabinets next to it, which really was getting on my nerves. So I was trying to figure it out. And I added this 3 counter wide island. And I put some trees, oh my goodness, some seats from Island Living, which I thought sort of added again towards tying in Sulani into this build. I didn't want it just to be only super modern, and it kind of clashed with the surrounding area that it was in. It didn't have anything of Sulani. So I think my ultimate not compromise, but my final solution to this was having everything just along the front of the build, just have nothing curved around, nothing came around. And for some reason into these cabinets, I don't know if it was my fault or what was the problem, but I couldn't get a dishwasher in. So that was something that I had a problem with. And there are a couple items that I am missing from the video. See, yeah, here I kind of showed a snippet of me having a hard time putting the dishwasher in. But I decided to put in a kava bowl, and I decided to put in an ice cream maker, coming in with the idea that you're living in a hot area. And, oh my God. Did I forget? Oh my God. I forgot a fridge. Wow. Okay. Well, before this goes up on the gallery, I definitely will have a fridge for you guys and some other things that I'm missing, like a clothesline. Oh my God, I cannot be more ashamed of myself right now. Whatever. We're going to go forward with this. It'll be fine. I promise before it goes up on the gallery, you will see a fridge. Jeez. Oh my goodness. Okay. Whew. Okay. Wow, I'm really embarrassed that I just noticed that. Okay. So now on the second floor, I decided to go with double doors that stay with this whole glass theme. I didn't want to stay with a big open, just this big fluidity between the second floor landing and the bedroom, because, I don't know, that didn't seem right to me. If you really did want privacy in terms of if you're having guests over or whatever, that didn't sit right with me. So I decided to stay with those double doors, and I put out some tiki lamps out on the front, just so that you can enjoy a nice sunset with some fire burning in the background. And then because there was no overhead lighting, as it messed up with the bed being right in the center, it didn't flow. I put these 4 corner lamps. And I do move the windows from the other side to line up with the windows on the left side so that everything is more cohesive. I still can't get over the fact that I left out a fridge. What is wrong with me? Wow. Okay. You know what? Okay. Moving past that. I can't dwell on that. I really can't. So I put up those extra curtains. I didn't want to stay with the same curtain throughout the entire build. I already mentioned that before. And I took this Moschino pack. Honestly, I've always heard it pronounced Moschino, like Moschino clothes. But I don't know. Like, I've been hearing people call it Moschino. Or as Little Simsy calls it, Little Simsy calls it mosquito. And I took it works as a closet right on the side to have like this all open theme. And I just put 2 symmetrical paintings on either side of this pairs, but yeah. And then, okay, so here I add also another roof. I think that was counted as a roof. I'm not sure. Yeah, but then I did put some skill building items. I put an easel out on that small little veranda. And then I put a yoga mat because I figured that whoever came here really didn't come here to watch TV and hang out, but they also came here to just find some zen. So I found the meditation thing. I put that there right next to the yoga mat, and I put a treadmill so that they could work on their fitness skill. Another thing that I decided to do was put a guitar, a chair, and I also believe a bookcase, so that anyone who was, just hanging out there had like a small little nook where they could read and hang out. They could maybe play the guitar with their friends, and that space really didn't go to waste. So that's more of a skill building area for the individual who lives there. And in those little pockets in that bookcase, I put some ornaments like a lava lamp, I believe, from Strangerville. I pulled in a candle, which definitely is a fire hazard. Do not do that in real life, but this is The Sims, so it doesn't matter. And I also put a little bear thingy that comes with Moschino stuff, and it does, I think it acts as like a book holder as well. But it looked like a pretty accent decoration, and no, so I replaced the candle with a camera, because I know that in island living you could definitely go swimming and then find like you could take images underwater and then you can like hang those up. So I added that. Now we're just on the outside working on some of the landscaping. I really didn't know what I wanted to do in terms of landscaping. I definitely wanted to keep it simple because the surrounding area is incredibly gorgeous if that's where you want to put this build. And now I was just kind of working with the terrain paint because I really didn't know, but I did make sort of a makeshift road by superimposing another terrain paint over the first one, and I thought it looked really nice. So yeah, it kind of gave it a little bit more depth, and it looked like trodden. So there's one tree off to the side and these 2 palm trees, one bent and one that's standing straight. I tried to put some grass in the area, but then I realized that it didn't look as good as I had intended it to, and I thought that those 2 trees did the building or the aesthetic of the building justice on of its own. So you see me delete that in, I think, a few seconds when I realized that it just doesn't look good at all. Yeah, so I try to do 2 now, and then I gave up, and I kept it at that. So I moved that tree more to the back so that it's next to the stairs. Anyway, guys, we're now coming close to the end of the build, and I just want to say thank you so much for listening to me have a nervous breakdown, and thanks. See you guys next time. Bye.